What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is Arthur the King, which is not about a king at all. It's about a dog. So prepare yourself, gird your loins. Uh, this this film stars Mark Wahlberg, Simu Liu, and Nathalie. Do we pronounce the H? Nathalie Emanuel. I can't remember. Um, and it's really just Mark Wahlberg and some people. It's like some familiar faces. They didn't want to just make like a Mark Wahlberg film, so they were like, who else is like kind of rising right now? And Simu and Natalie are both kind of rising, so they're in here. Um, and it's an adaptation of the Mark Wahlberg Talks to Animals sketch. No, I'm kidding. But it's an adaptation of a book called something like Arthur the Dog That Ran Through the Jungle and Found a Home. Something, it's like the longest, weirdest title. And I totally understand why they shortened it to Arthur the King, because when I heard the book that it was adapted from, I was like, that's a long, sort of meticulously boring title. I mean, accurate, but okay. It has audio description. This is done by Deluxe, so there you go. And it's this weird adventure film. Sort of. It's like it's everything. It wants to be everything. This film wants to be so much, so many different things at the same time. And I can't help but think that there's a better version of this film. That there's a better version of the script. There's a better structure for this film. So loosely, Mark Wahlberg plays a guy who, says something. He's always saying something like, "The race is the race." It's like something like really inane like that. But he loves doing these sort of like very physical jungle trek races through really rough terrains, sort of like Iron Man type stuff, but like harder, more hardcore. It's not just like swimming, biking, and jogging. It's like, having to, I don't know, climb rock faces. And I mean, like, whatever nature presents you, you have to get through it. So, and he really just wants to win a championship because he's never actually won one before. And his last showing, he didn't do well. And so he's really he's getting up there in age. He has a kid. His wife used to do this, but now she just stays at home because she's a mother now. And he's like, I really want to do this one more time. Give me one more time. So he's going out there. His dad thinks he's crazy, and he has to get fundraisers for his team. There's so much boring minutia at the beginning of his team, and then he has to like assemble the Avengers. So he has to like go around and find all these people. So it takes forever for him to ever get to the actual jungle part of the film, which I'm sure saved budget, because we had to get to like each one of these people. He has to have like a conversation with each one of them where he's like, "Hey, I think you should come join my team. Hey, I think you should come join my team. Hey, I think you should come join my team." That's why I was like, I think there should be a better structure to this, because there's so much at the beginning of this film. It's like him trying to get investors and like bring together his team. And I feel like if we had started with maybe seeing him at his peak and failing and then cutting ahead to the time where he wants to do it again, and we would have seen that drive. We wouldn't have needed to be told about that drive. We would have seen that drive, spend less time assembling the Avengers and then get back in that race. Like, keep it so that it feels like it's a high octane adventure the whole time instead of whatever this is. So like there's the first act of the film is just getting the gang back together, and then he has to start the race. And meanwhile, we're getting like these interspersed cuts of this dog this little terrier dog, who we will come to know as Arthur. Later on, he'll be named Arthur in the thing, but he's just this dog living in squalor and suffering, not having a great time. And uh, while racing through the jungle, sort of through happenstance, Mark and his team come across this dog, and the dog just sort of joins them on their journey and seems to be able to navigate them through the jungle, like he's the dog, like the dog navigator, a little bit, and helps them and joins them and becomes, and then like, of course, the news and the internet. I don't remember this at all, but you would think, based on the way this film posts this up, we were all talking about this. I don't know if you remember talking about this, but the world stopped and we all were talking about whatever you were doing this day, you were talking about this because like the tweets are off the chart and like news channels, outlets, and everybody is just talking about this dog that's running through the jungle with this team. I didn't even know they did these kind of races. So I definitely don't remember Arthur's story, but whatever it was, we were definitely talking about it. And this is very current, by the way, because Simu Liu is basically an influencer, and part of the reason he's on the team is because of his followers, and he's always got like a GoPro. So this has happened within the last couple of years. It has to have because just because of the way his character is structured. So it's like within the last 10 years. So we should all be really fresh and remember this story. So where were you when Arthur ran through the jungle? Put that in the comments. I want to know exactly what it was you were doing, and how did you stop your day to commemorate this occasion? So yeah. Anyway, so they get to a point, and I don't want to spoil the whole movie, but the third, that's the second act of the film. The third act of the film is sort of like the Marley and me. Guys, Arthur's not doing good. It's that part. So, and it'll pull at your heartstrings because, guys, he may not make it. Will he make it? Will he not make it? I don't know, but apparently we all know because we're all watching this. So this is the most like epic thing that was happening at the time it was happening. So we're all really invested in this story. It's an inspirational sort of adventure drama thing. It's okay. Mark Wahlberg is okay. He's been better, and he's also been worse. So I have to remember, one of the things that's working in this film's favor is the fact that I absolutely hated The Family Plan. I hated that film so much. I think it was either like my second or third. Like, it wasn't like literally the worst film, but it was like right there. It was like one film or two films above being the worst of last year in my bottom 10. I hated that film. So for Mark Wahlberg, this is like a giant rebound. And I'm really excited to see him doing something that is a better use of his talents and a better use of his charisma, a better use of his Wahlbergisms. He talks a lot to the dog, and it's unintentionally hilarious, but I did enjoy it. I do remember the Saturday Night Live sketch, and it's just like, yeah, you doing okay? Yeah, we gonna go out there? Yeah, we got to do this. You gonna go out there with me? It's just, I don't know. There's nobody better to talk to animals. If we remake Dr. Dolittle again, please cast Mark Wahlberg. I'm totally on board. I will watch the shit out of that film. Probably be my number one film of the year. What's best picture of the year? Did you see Mark Wahlberg do Dr. Dolittle? It was the most amazing thing ever. I'm here for it. So Mark Wahlberg talking to animals, like, done. Like, I don't know why he's not in the new Garfield movie. Like, he needs to be just like, his career needs to become Mark Wahlberg talking to animals, like, as a thing, because there's nobody who's more like oddly entertaining and convincing at talking to animals than Mark Wahlberg. So, it's one of those like side effects that you don't actually, nobody making this film really thought that. Nobody thought that that would be, it is really entertaining to watch Mark Wahlberg talk to a dog. So, Simu and Natalie don't really do much. There's another guy too, who I'm less familiar with his work. I wish I could remember his name, but there's a fourth member of the team, who I just didn't know going into the Suleiman, Ari Suleiman. I think that's it. Anyway, there aren't that many names to remember in this film, but um, yeah, it's fine. It's not bad. It's not good. It's fine. And of course, it really baits you. It pulls you in, as most dog movies do. Although this one didn't get me. So I didn't cry. I didn't like go, oh my God, Arthur. Oh my God. Because like from the moment you see him, like the suggestion is that he's not okay. So like as much as I don't like to see dogs that are hurt, and that hurts me, like I want to make sure that these animals are okay and we need to get them health. He is just kind of like a dumpster dog, I mean, he's just kind of like a street dog that has been through life. um and a lot of times when we've seen these dogs in these other movies that make us cry, oftentimes those dogs end up being dogs that we see sort of in like these adorable, lovable situations, and they're like perfectly fine and they do things, and then maybe they just get old and die, or they get hit by a car or something, something terrible happens to them after we've learned that, that they were perfectly fine. He just kind of seems like he's suffering, and then gets like this burst of energy and like runs through the jungle. He's like, oh my God, people who don't hate me, let me join them. And then later on, he's like, I've got nothing. I've got nothing left. So then the film becomes about, can they save the dog, and can they save Arthur? Audio description wise, I the film, the second act is really where the audio description shines. The first and third acts, the first act, I guess, because you're getting a description of the characters, I didn't feel like that was great. Especially considering the diversity of the characters. I feel like that could have been better. There's like real intentional diversity being shown here that isn't really given to these characters. Um, these characters do not look like Mark Wahlberg. I don't know how else to put that. So that isn't really reflected in any form in the description when talking about these characters. So I would have wanted more of that from the script, acknowledging that. The end part of the film is fine. Like the third act is again, it's just like a lot of Mark Wahlberg talking to the dog. It's weird how basically like the rest of the team just isn't that important once Arthur comes into the frame. Like, I can't stress to you how much like the other three just kind of like slowly disappear from the film and just kind of like back away, and they just like vanish. They're just like, where did they go? I don't know. We're talking about Arthur now. Where did Simu go? I don't know. It's just like, it's not one of those films, it's not one of those films that feels equally balanced, where like it's about the team, even though it is about the team. Like, he talks about how this is his team, but it doesn't feel like a team. It feels like a Mark Wahlberg film where they just wanted some other people in it because they're not sure he can hold up a box office. He's had too many streaming releases. So they put some other familiar faces in there. This didn't do that well at the box office, so obviously they were, you know, rightfully worried. Although I don't know how you sell this film. This film doesn't really know what it wants to be. It's not really a family film. It's not really an adventure film. It's not really, it's just kind of like a based on a true story thing that kind of works for who it'll work for. It's not bad, but it's also not great. So I would approach with caution, I guess. Um, but yeah, I think inherently, I think we like movies with dogs. I think as a people, it's really hard to hate dog movies. Even the dumb ones, even the ones that are just like goofy dog movies, like cats and dogs, like inherently there's something about it, and that's why we keep making them, is because people like movies about animals. Like, I can acknowledge that Hotel for Dogs is not a great movie. I can also acknowledge the fact that I've seen that movie more than once, and I don't know why. It's not even reviewed on my channel. I've just happened to have seen that movie more than once. So I got nothing. It's got dogs in it. I don't, you know what I mean? It's just, put a dog in a movie. Does your film suck? Add a dog. Uh, you're better off if you don't kill it. Um, so yeah, this is a film for certain people. I don't know which people. I'm trying not to telegraph the ending, although there's a book, and apparently we were all, like, time stopped when this thing happened. So apparently we all remember this. Um, but this is just it is what it is. It's okay. The description is fine. I'm just it didn't blow me away. It just, I would have made some maybe slightly better choices. It's deluxe, so it's never really gonna be that bad, and it does get the second act of the film where most of the action is there is described really well. There are just some better choices I would have made. Just a couple little notes I would have had that maybe would have put this above. But this is this is not like C or D level audio description. No, this is like, there's a difference between being, this is like going to somebody and being like, well, you have an A minus in the class. You could have an A. What do you want? Do you want the A minus or do you want the A? Or like, you have a B plus. You have an 89%. If we can figure out a way to get you that extra 1%, you'll have an A minus. Do we want to do that, or are you just comfortable with a B plus? You know, it feels like it's that marginal. Just like a couple little tweaks. But the film is okay. I'm gonna give Arthur the King a B minus. So um yeah, it's part of that. I'll admit maybe it's like a C plus film, and part of it is just me unintentionally being entertained by Mark Wahlberg talking to dogs. So you may not enjoy that as much as me, but whatever. I do. I would see it. I'd watch it all the time. Mark Wahlberg could make a career out of talking to animals, and I'll be like so on board for the new part of his for the new chapter of his career. Mark Wahlberg and animals. Um, and so anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.